What's up, guys? My name is Kevin. Welcome to the channel. I am a self-proclaimed biohacker, optimizer of all things related to health, wellness, and nutrition. That includes food, sleep, exercise routines, everything you can do to basically be living your best life. If you have not been living under a rock the last few years, you've probably heard of the sensation of blue blocking glasses. So what these are meant to do are to block the harmful blue, green, white wavelengths of light that a lot of us are exposed to after dark. Obviously, if you have a cell phone, if you have a laptop, if you have your TV on after the sun goes down, those things are emitting blue light, which actually impacts our body's ability to release melatonin properly, screws up the whole circadian rhythm, decreases your sleep quality, decreases your overall quality of life. So a lot of biohackers and a lot of even normal people have started to adopt the practice of using these blue blocking glasses. So what these actually do, they have a lens that are tinted orange, red, yellow, with the intention of blocking those harmful wavelengths of light. There are a ton of these on the market now, obviously, because they're all over the health podcasts, all over the internet, all over YouTube. Everybody wants to get their hands on a pair of these if they want to optimize their sleep. So one thing that I noticed didn't really exist on the internet was a proper scientific comparison of all of these different blue blocking glasses from the top names in the industry. My personal background is in engineering, so I have a strong technical understanding of what's supposed to be happening with these glasses, what wavelengths they are supposed to be blocking, as well as how to set up a proper experiment. So the intention of this video is to compare 10 of the top models that are on the market right now, probably ones that you've heard on popular biohacking and health podcasts, ones that you've seen on Amazon. I'm gonna do a quick comparison of just the fit and finish, the style, and then I'm actually gonna move on to a scientific test using a spectrometer to check the actual blockage that each model is capable of. All right, so I just wanted to give you guys an overview of the test setup here. You can see my highly scientific arrangement of laboratory stands here, some clamps that'll hold the glasses in place. We have the meter and the light source up here on tripods. This is actually a photography light source, so it's tunable to different brightnesses, different color temperatures. It has a whole array of LEDs as well as a diffuser just to make the light nice and even. Right now I have it set to 20% brightness and 6100 Kelvin, which if we actually check that on the meter here, equates to about 5700 Kelvin, a little under 600 lux. And you can see a huge spike there in the blue spectra. So around 420 to 460 nanometers. And that's pretty common with LED light sources, like from your cell phone, from a laptop, from a TV. So that's the exact frequency range that we are actually trying to block with these blue blocking glasses. So I think this will be a pretty good setup. The idea being that we can then take each pair of glasses, place it into the clamps, perfectly obscuring the port of the sensor here, and then that'll be able to tell us relative to the baseline and relative to one another how much of that light they're truly blocking. So let's get started with the testing. All right, so the first model that we're going to be reviewing today are the Felix Gray glasses. These are actually a very, very attractive model. I think as far as the fit and finish and the style goes, they're probably one of the best that we're going to be looking at today. They're clearly made to a pretty high standard. The materials are great. The hinges feel very smooth, a very consistent friction with the hinges. And the frame itself is this nice turtle finish. The lens just has a very, very subtle yellow tint to it. Now, if you're like me and you're going into this pretty skeptical, you would think, how could a lens that is so essentially clear really be blocking any of those harmful white, blue, green frequencies? And that's a valid concern, as we'll see with the readings here in a second. I think one of the benefits of this particular frame is that if you're worried about wearing these out in public, if you want to wear them out to the grocery store or after dark, like these are definitely one where most people are probably not even going to notice that you have a blue blocking lens on. It's a very, very subtle yellowish tinge, so you could basically, get away with saying that these are just standard prescription glasses that you're wearing. So if that social aspect is high on your priority list, these are probably one to look at. So let's move on to the actual spectral readings for this particular pair. This first one, I wanted to show you what the baseline graph looks like. So you may have seen me take this reading whenever I was showing you the full test setup. But basically what we have here is a spectral power graph for just the LED light source. So on the x-axis here we have the wavelength in nanometers. On the y-axis we have the power in milliwatts per unit area. And this is the region that we're concerned about, from 420 to 500 nanometers here. These are the wavelengths of light that are most disruptive to melatonin release. So what I wanted to do was basically overlay a graph for each of the individual glasses with that original source to show you how much of that range is being blocked. So in this example, almost this entire range from 420 up to 540 is being blocked. You can see that there's very little spectral power here. So as we go through each of these, just keep in mind that that's exactly what you're seeing. All right, so here's our first example, the Felix Gray glasses. As we kind of suspected, because that lens is just very minorly tinted, just has a little bit of a yellow hue to it, there's very little blockage going on in most of these wavelengths. So basically the range from 420 to 500, probably 80 to 90% of that light is still getting through. I believe they claim on their site that in the most disruptive region, which is around 440 nanometers, there's a 50% drop in spectral power, but that doesn't appear to be the case here. I mean, it looks like it went from about 19 milliwatts down to perhaps 14 to 15 milliwatts. Not quite 50%. It is something. And of course, if the fashion aspect and wearing these out in public is the most important thing to you, then maybe these are still a great choice. But if you're looking for something that's the highest performance possible in terms of your melatonin release, you probably want to look elsewhere. All right, the next model that we're going to be looking at from a company called THL. I actually found these on Amazon. They were very highly rated. They were definitely one of the biggest blue blocking glass suppliers on Amazon. And they have a ton of different models. I picked this Wayfarer style, which I thought was pretty cool. Definitely one of the more stylish models as well, but the issue being that this has a clearly orange tinted lens. So if you're wearing this out in public, people are either gonna think you're a Bono wannabe or that you are a strange biohacker. So can't really get away with it like you can with the Felix Gray. Again, these are super high quality for the price. I think the fit and finish is close to the Felix Gray. The hinges feel very nice, although they don't have the nice friction elements that the Felix Gray have, but still, obviously built to a very high standard. I would not complain at all about the fit and finish, and I would expect these to last a pretty long time. And I do like the style as well. None of the other ones have this cool Wayfarer style going on, so without further ado, let's move on to those spectral readings. Now THL, I did really like the style of these, and it looks like the performance is actually pretty good to match. 420 to 460, this range of wavelengths is almost entirely blocked, and everything up through 500 through the greens is blocked really effectively as well. I would say that these are probably a fantastic choice as far as the effectiveness from the perspective of melatonin release and blocking those blue light spectra. All right, the next model we are going to be looking at, Swannies. So the company is called Swanwick, and these guys have been on the scene for a while because I remember looking for blue blockers maybe 2-3 years ago and these guys were already around. They have a lot of different options. I picked this frame that's sort of like a smoke gray finish, which is kind of cool. So it's actually clear smoke gray. You can kind of see the internals. And you know, the shape is not really my favorite. It's obviously all personal preference, but it's like a little short for me, and maybe it's just my face shape. But again, the quality of materials, super high. They definitely don't feel like they're gonna break anytime soon. The hinges are obviously like nice metallic hinges and like very high quality stuff. Just the finish of it, nicely polished, clearly not cheap. And so these also have a very dark orange hue to the lenses, which you would think would be a good thing in terms of the light transmission. So let's check out the numbers on this guy. And here's Swannies. So again, these are ones that have been on the market for a long time. Their lens is not quite as intensely amber as some of the other ones, and therefore lets a little bit more light through here in this 420 to 460 spectrum. Still a massive drop, obviously, from the baseline, which you can see overlaid here. But again, if you really like the style of those glasses, probably a decent choice. All right, and next up we have these guys, BluBlocker. So the actual company is called BluBlocker. And I think, dude, these have been around for probably like 20 years or something. But the interesting thing is they were never sold as blue blocking glasses to enhance your melatonin release at night. I think these were actually sold as like a sports accessory, like dudes that were golfing would wear them because it apparently like increased the contrast when you're looking down at the course, or maybe like gave you better depth perception. I don't know. That's how these were marketed. But I'm sure now they're seeing a surge in sales because of the guys that are buying them for blue blocking purposes. These are a little more cheapy feeling, definitely almost all plastic construction with the exception of like a couple metal screws here and there. And you know, very, very much like social suicide. Like you could not go outside wearing these unless you're over the age of 70. But they do have a very, very dark amber hue to them, to the point that just putting them on right now, everything in my field of view is just a super dark orange. So I expect that these would probably perform pretty well in the spectral power test, but let's give it a look. So BluBlocker, you can see overlaid here. Basically in this range from 420 to 500, there's almost zero penetration. These glasses do a really, really good job of blocking that part of the spectrum. So I would expect that these would actually be really good in terms of aiding in your sleep quality. So the next one we're going to be looking at are TrueDark. This was a company that I believe is either founded by or at least has been invested in by Dave Asprey, one of the fathers of biohacking, one of the guys that got me into biohacking many years back. So these are obviously very purposeful, I would say. They're definitely function over form. They're definitely not something that you would wear out in public and not be at least a little bit embarrassed about. One edge that these do have over any of the other ones is they actually have this foam insert on the back. So all the glasses block that light that's coming directly in. These ones actually block it around the peripherals as well. So in theory, that gives it a little bit of an edge in terms of the blockage and something that's not necessarily captured by this test that I'm going to be doing since I'm really only testing from directly on. So something to consider for sure. In terms of the fit and finish, they're pretty plasticky. Like definitely don't give me the impression of super high quality though. I mean, I haven't used these for more than a few weeks, so hard to say whether they'd fall apart. Overall, I think these are going to perform super well in terms of blocking the blue light, but probably not going to perform too well in terms of getting you a date. So let's check out the results. The TrueDark original glasses. So these block everything from 420 up through 580 very effectively. You can see very little of the blue or green light wavelengths are getting through these. Probably the most effective in terms of blocking the blue and green wavelengths of any of the glasses that were tested here. So I would say if you're looking for the absolute best of the best in terms of your sleep quality, these are going to be the way to go, as long as you can deal with that minor inconvenience of the lack of fashion. All right, so these ones are kind of cool because same company, TrueDark. I'm sure they heard my feedback or perhaps heard the feedback of a lot of people that had bought the original model, and they came out with this one, which I think is called the Elite. It's definitely a little bit more stylish. It has kind of that dad fashion thing going on with the like these short, skinny frames. It's not exactly like something that style-conscious millennials such as myself would really want to go out in at night, but overall, it's definitely a much nicer looking pair of glasses, much less embarrassing to wear out in public. And I think the fit and finish is the big winner here because these have a really nice solid feel to them. The frames are metallic. Almost everything on the glasses is metal. So overall, it's like a big upgrade from the original TrueDark glasses and definitely a big upgrade in style. Let's check out the spectral results for these ones. The TrueDark Elites. These ones, obviously, you can see a massive drop in this entire range, all the way from 420, with these ones stretching all the way up to the 580 range. Probably the largest width of spectra blocked by these glasses of almost any of the ones in the test. And obviously very effective here in the ranges of wavelengths that are most intricately linked to melatonin release. So these would obviously be a fantastic choice as far as effectiveness. All right, and the next one we're going to be looking at. So this is actually the company called Raw Optics. These guys are all over the podcasting world right now. I've heard the founder, Matt Maruka, on a few podcasts. He's affiliated with Dr. Jack Kruse, who's also really into this circadian biology stuff. But I really, really like the combination that they've managed to pull off of this style as well as the blue blocking characteristics. So these are actually again, like the Felix Gray's, a very cool like turtle frame that has a very nice finish to it, super high gloss. All of the hinges feel really high quality with like a nice friction element in them. And the lens themselves clearly has a much darker orange or red hue than the Felix Gray, and more in line with some of the other less fashionable ones in our test. So again, I really like what Raw Optics has pulled off with these, and I do think that these are probably a good balance if you're looking for something that's actually a little bit stylish and you could wear out in public, but still going to give you the circadian benefits of that blue blocking. So without further ado, on to the results.
Raw Optics, another one that does a fantastic job, only very minimal light getting through in this 420 to 460 spectrum, which is obviously the most disruptive to melatonin release, so good to see that. And these actually do a great job of blocking all the way up to 500 even. Almost all of this green part of the spectrum is eliminated when you're wearing these Raw Optics glasses, so again, further proof that those Raw Optics are probably a good balance of the fashion as well as the functionality of the blue blocking glasses.
All right, and we have the return of the dad fashion here with these gamma ray optics. Some people might be really into this style. It's not necessarily one that I would go for. I think it kind of has that geeky, nerdy, but still kind of stylish vibe going on, which is fine. Again, these are obviously a really nice pair of glasses. The frame is all metal and it's super thin and sleek, pretty high quality construction. The actual earpieces here are actually plastic, so this is sort of like a half-half in terms of, the perception of quality that I get from it. But overall, a very nice pair of glasses. Interestingly, the lenses themselves are tinted a pretty subtle orange amber. Just putting them on now and seeing the lighting around me, I can tell that they're not blocking nearly as much. There's a lot more brightness coming through. So let's see if that's reflected in the results.
Okay, this is for the gamma ray optics. So we can see that despite the fact that those lenses have a pretty subtle amber hue to them, we do have a pretty big drop, a pretty sizable drop here in the most disruptive area of the spectrum. A little bit more light leaking through in this 420 to 460 range than some of the other ones that we've seen with a more intense amber lens. But again, a pretty decent choice. If you really do like the style of those, I would say that they're probably a good choice, just not going to be quite as effective as some of the other glasses that really knock out this entire part of the spectrum.
All right, the next one we're going to be looking at, in terms of social suicide, this is definitely up there at the top of the list. These are actually Uvex safety glasses. The one benefit that these do have, though, is they have the wraparound sides. So similar to the TrueDarks, they actually probably do a better job of blocking any light that's coming in from the periphery. So while you definitely probably can't wear these outside at night and be taken seriously as a normal human being, they do a great job of blocking the light coming in from all different directions. So the lens itself is not quite as dark or red tinted as some of the other ones in the test. So I'm curious if it is missing blocking some of those harmful spectra, but the results will tell the tale.
All right, so here is the Uvex glasses. Despite the seeming lack of fashion with these glasses, they do actually do a pretty decent job here in the range of 420 up to 500 nanometers. You can see actually this region from 460 to 540 is really effectively blocked, and while that's not the most disruptive to your sleep quality, that is interesting that these actually do a better job of that than almost any other glass in the test. But yeah, 420 to 460 here, they do a fantastic job. I mean, if you can put up with the fact that these are not going to be the most fashionable choice, they're definitely a really good option at the price point.
All right, and last but not least, the one we're going to be looking at here are the company BluBlox with an X. So these are actually, I've seen them heavily featured on podcasts like Luke's Story. Like, they clearly are a pretty big name in the podcasting space. And they're a decent frame, Again, I'm not a huge fan of how curvaceous these are. I think I like a little bit more squared off vibes to my glasses, but to each their own. I'm sure someone out there really likes the style of this frame. They have this really nice like piano black finish, and even though the whole frame is plastic, it has like a pretty substantial feel to it. Some of the other plastic ones in the test, they didn't really give you that feeling of quality. Whereas this one, despite being plastic, still feels really nice. The hinges have friction in them. Overall, a really nice pair of glasses. I think the lens itself on these definitely gives you the vibe that it's going to block the blue and green spectrum very, very effectively. has a similar hue to the raw optics. Almost looks like they might use similar technology for the lens tinting. I mean, I'm not sure, that's just speculation, but let's check out how these ones perform with the spectrometer.
All right, so here we have BluBlox. You can see in this vital range from 420 to 500, they do a fantastic job of blocking almost all of this blue and green light. Even up to 520 to 540, they're still doing a pretty good job. I would say that these pretty much fall in line with the effectiveness of almost any glass in the test. And again, if that's the style that you're looking for and you want something that's going to be effective at improving your sleep quality, I think these are a fantastic option.
All right, so that concludes the comparison of these 10 different models of blue blocking glasses. I hope this was informative for you. Obviously, there's a ton more detail about each of the individual glasses that I could have gotten into, but we only have so much time in this video. If you have any specific questions about a pair of glasses that you saw, feel free to put it in the comments below. And I would really appreciate if you like and subscribe. It'll definitely help me grow this channel into something as big as I want it to be. If you could comment below with any suggestions that you have for other biohacking or health or wellness related content that you'd like to see, maybe some comparisons that require a little bit of scientific experimentation, that would be really cool for this channel. So anything you can do to help, I really appreciate. Thanks so much for watching this video. And again, check out all those links in the description for all of the individual models that I talked about. That'll be a direct link for you to buy it. And just for the record, those are affiliate links because I'm trying to actually be paid in return for all the work and money that I put into this video. So thank you so much if you click those links and support me and support the channel by buying from those links. It would be really, really appreciated. Have a good one, and thanks so much for watching.